Hi everyone, and you are very welcome to today's webcast. And just before we kick off, as you can see, we are using StreamYard again, which will become the weekly way that we will be streaming live into Facebook. But for us to see your name on your comments, you need to allow StreamYard access to your Facebook name. So if you grant that, it means I'll know who's chatting to us and who's following us, and it always makes a difference to have your name. And today we are talking about focus. How focused are you at achieving your goals? Could you set a goal and take 10 years to get to it? Because that's exactly what today's guest did, Jimmy McCarthy, kickboxer, living here in Donegal, but as soon as you will hear it, you'll know he's not a local no more than myself. Jimmy, you're very welcome.
Hey Barbara, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, not at all, not at all. Okay, so 10 years to get to your goal. Okay, so you achieved a goal over 10 years, and we'll get into that now. But you must have been, when you started that, kind of sitting on the couch or sitting at home or whatever and saying to yourself, I need to do something. Something triggered that. What was it that triggered it in you?
Well, what happened was, I started to approach my 40th birthday, and kind of a midlife spread starts to creep up, that you suddenly look and you go, wow, where did that come from? So yeah, I hit my 40th birthday, and my wife and children threw me a surprise party. And it was kind of there or thereabouts when I thought, you know what, I want to do something that's gonna really completely throw me outside my comfort zone, something that's gonna test me physically, mentally, emotionally. But I want to have achieved it by the time I hit 50. So it's a 10-year, which gave me a focus for 10 years. Now, as I say, look, I didn't know what I was going to do, whether I was going to, I don't know, plan to swim the English Channel or climb one of the highest mountains in the world or run a marathon, Back then I was eating plenty of marathons, but as for running one, but yeah, this was in my mind. And it was a kind of an out of the blue, reading the Donegal Democrat, and I just came across this advert it was Kickboxing for Beginners, run by a fella called Tommy McCarthy, two-weight ISKA world champion, knows his stuff. So yeah, I contacted Tommy, and it actually wasn't long after Tommy set up the club. So I contacted Tommy, and Tommy says, yeah, look, why don't you come along? Come on, the beginners class starts on Tuesday night, going back 10, 12 years ago. So yeah, along I went.
So a beginner's class, and when most people think of a beginner's class, they're going to think kids and teenagers, and that kind of age group. And here you were, 40 thereabouts, walking into a beginner's class. How did that feel?
Yeah, to be honest, it was I kind of put myself, I think I'm a confident kind of a person, but yeah, it kind of threw me a little bit. It kind of, this is where I understand where people that do come into that environment, they can feel intimidated, and there's no need to be. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, the first night was going in. Obviously, I was one of the older ones there. It's a young environment. There is people up to my age in it as well in the club. But yeah, it's funny, when I went the first night, I kind of dabbled a little bit in martial arts years ago in London. But the social scene kind of interfered with my social scene. So it's funny, when I went along the first night to the club, and I was like a schoolboy coming home, showing my wife and children, hey, listen, look, this is what I learned tonight, and this is a stance, and because there isn't an art to fighting, it's unbelievable until you've actually been at that, that position, which again is something, I kind of touch on with bullying stuff, but yeah, I went along for the first night, and I was just completely blown away by it, And this is actually what I.
Sorry
so what,
about
what
that.
I actually make a point to do. Yeah, no, you're okay. So what I actually do at the moment is, because I'm doing this 11 years, I like to. You think you know everything, but I like to step back from it. So anytime the beginners class starts, Tommy runs 2 or 3 beginners class a year. I'll help out with the beginners class because I like teaching for a start, and secondly, it brings me back to basics as well, which is important, you know. So
yeah, I think it's always good when you step back and remember then what it was like when you were starting off, because it always keeps that that feeling and that motivation fresh in your mind as to the why you started it in the first place. So you were lucky. When you saw the ad and you went down, you were hooked there and then.
Completely. And look, that when I look back now, you know, this is 11 years ago, like I say, was it a selfish thing to do? You know, looking back, I missed a lot of my daughter's growing up. You know, I missed a lot of their Christmas plays. You know, I missed functions because I had become kind of dedicated to it. But the thing about it was they pushed me and they kept pushing me, you know, and they supported me fully throughout. And now it's a 10-year journey, because it has to be a 10-year journey, because to achieve to what I achieved, you know, you're talking 7-8 years, you know, and as we'll talk about, I kind of did fall off slightly, took my eye off the ball, you know, but yeah, it's around a 7-8 year journey for doing this, you know.
So you went in, you got hooked, and then you decided, sure, I'll go for my first belt and see how I get on.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we were probably there about a year, and listen, anybody that does this in a respected club, Kickboxing LK is massively respected, you know. You know that you have to earn. Nobody's going to come up and say, well done, you earned that belt, you know. You have to earn it, and I've seen the way it does get earned, you know. But yeah, I was there for about a year, and grading was coming up. I'd actually spoke to Tommy before it, and I says, look, how does this system work? You know, he says, well, you know, if you stick with it for 7-8 years, you know, you can work your way up to black belt, but you know, very few people do, you know, because it is a massive commitment. But yeah, I done my first belt, and I treated every belt up to my brown black belt as the same, you know. I was focused, I was dedicated, I put in the extra work, and I put in the extra work because I was one of the older ones there. I didn't want to be put out of grading, you know. I didn't want Tommy or anybody to come up before it and say, look, I'm sorry, you're just not up to this grading, you know, you need to go away and come back and try again next year, you know. So anytime there was any gradings coming up, I kind of, really pushed myself. And again, when you're pushing yourself, the recovery period's also a little bit long, you know, because, you know,
the older you get,
the longer, exactly.
Yeah, the longer slightly longer the recovery. Yes, I can relate to that. All right, and that's not just in training; that's in quite a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
So each belt then kind of became, you know, it's easy, as we put it, you know, 10 years to reach your goal, but really it was each belt in itself, or next point, that was actually the goal in itself at that time. And you build up on that then to actually achieve, to get to where you have gotten, which is black belt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you set
exactly.
your mind each time.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I say, you know, I'm asked constantly, you know, how do you set goals? Well, mine was 10 years, you know, it's a long goal. But people can set goals all the time, you know. You can set a goal as simple as what you want to buy a pair of trousers, or you want to buy a dress, you know. Well, buy it and set that as your goal, you know, for 6 or 8 weeks down the line. And then when you buy the dress or the trousers or the suit or whatever it is, you know, the t-shirt, whatever, put it on you. You feel good because you've reached that, you know, that little goal. Now, if you go and do what I done, yeah, definitely set out a goal, but set yourself little targets along the way. And that's exactly what my targets were, my belts, you know. And that was for me, it was fantastic because it was something every time to aim for, you know.
But it wasn't a straight line up. It wasn't a straight, you know, curve. There was a slight falling off the curve, or a falling off the wagon along the way.
Yeah, there were, yeah. So again, look, I was dedicated. I was training, you know, flat out. When I got to a brown belt, which is just the belt below the black belt, I put myself through quite a bit again because, you know, I think I was probably around 46, 47 year old. So yeah, I put myself through quite a lot. Chuffed to bits when I achieved it, you know. But my black belt was the one that I was aiming for. And again, after your brown belt, you've 2 years then before you can go for your black belt, you know. So yeah, it was kind of strange. Got the brown belt, and then I kind of took my eye off the ball, you know. I took my foot off the gas. Started making excuses. Then I thought, you know, the brown belt was tough, but made excuses. Then, you know, I'd miss a training session, and suddenly one training session would be 2 training sessions, and then easy excuse: finish work, come home, have a couple of beers, put the feet up, watch TV, you know. But what happens is you start to fall into like a self-doubt, you know, because what happens, the longer you leave it to get back, the harder it becomes, you know. But what I was doing was I was still training, but I was kind of just keeping my toe in there, you know. And then I heard then that that gradings were coming up again for brown and black belt, you know, and the gradings take place up in Lurgan, up in Northern Ireland. Fantastic old school gym, you know, old school club. So anyway, I was keeping my toe in training, and next thing we'd finished a training session, and Tommy said, guys, look, for the ones that are grading 6 months down the line, just stay back after training, you know. So, you know, I hung back and went up, and I said to Tommy, hey, Tommy, you know, will I be grading as well? And Tommy says, I'm sorry, Jimmy, you know, you're not training hard enough. I can't let you. He says, you know, you won't stick it. You won't get through it.
Your heart must have sank.
Oh, massively, massively. But you know what? Tommy was exactly right. You know, I wasn't training. Oh, who did I think? You know, Jimmy McCarthy just step in and go and do this 6-hour grading up in Hope, and it was completely right. So yeah, I walked out and I was, you know, oh, that's it. I've had enough. I'm leaving it. I can't be bothered anymore. You know, got back to nice, easy life, coming home, feet up, few drinks, blah blah. And then what happened was, it's kind of so I work actually for a fantastic company, okay, and what they do is they're fantastic when it comes to health and wellness, well-being. So they do it's like a yearly NCT of your body, you know, you get your cholesterol done, and you know, you get all wired up and all that. So anyway, I booked myself in at work. It's so easy, and went into the first aid room, and the nurse done all my checks. But anyway, she done my cholesterol check, and she said, she said, I'm sorry. She says, I just need to get the other machine, you know, this machine's not working, it's faulty. You know, she had my history there. And
yeah.
Out she went, and she came back in, and she says, she done my test again, you know, and she says, oh, sorry, Jimmy, the machine was actually right. Your cholesterol level is, you know, it's skyrocketed. You need to go and see your doctor, and I would advise you go and see him as soon as you can, you know, and he'll put you on a tablet for life. And again, when I was walking out, she kind of just said, you know, oh, by the way, you're also morbidly obese. Okay, that's
a lot to take in, and that
massive. Yeah. Because the thing about it was, when I got my brown belt, I was in, you know, I was in good shape, and look at it, it's the way it was, you know, you're training morning and evening. So yeah, it was a massive kick. But then around the same time, Tommy also messaged me, you know, out of the blue, and said, hey, look, Jimmy, how are you keeping, and blah blah. We exchanged messages, and you know, you came so far, you know, why don't you come back and give it a shot, you know, and we see, can we get this black belt? So, you know, between one thing and another, promised him, yeah, look, I'll be back Tuesday night. Got back on the Tuesday night, got back to training, got back to the gym, and it was probably around 2.5 years before I could go for the black belt. Okay, and absolutely loved it, just with a passion. Yeah, just I thought that I'd left it too long, you know, because I'd missed training and everyone had advanced on, and you know, and I understand that, and that's why I say to people, look, guys, if you do fall off the bandwagon, you know, take a couple of days out, shake yourself down, but don't leave it too long, because the self-doubt starts to creep in, you know.
And that's the worst thing, is when we start telling ourselves, oh, I can't, you know, I couldn't, I won't be able to, and that those negative thoughts, you know, this came up in a previous interview, actually, those automatic negative thoughts that we call the ants, they start to ferment and grow, and you know, it's very, very hard then to get out of that cycle. But along with your training, there must have been like, well, your dietary concerns, because as you said, the clinician in work said, oh, by the way, you know, obesity and your other levels, they were all soaring high. So did your whole diet then would have had to change to compensate for the training as well? And the reason I'm asking that is because there'd be a certain person at home was probably looking after the food and the shopping and whatnot, and making sure that everything was in for you that you needed, your wife.
Totally, yeah. My wife's a chef, like, you know, and she kept me right, and, you know, and she'd be telling me, you know, you have to eat this, you have to eat this, which was perfect, you know. And again, at work, I'm so routine, you know, it's unbelievable. At work, I'd be eating the same stuff nearly every day. It'd be, you know, pasta, chicken, salads, you know, and my workmates must have been looking, thinking, you know, Jimmy, you need to get a life. But this is, but it even goes down to even like alcohol, you know, drinking. And listen, I enjoy a drink, you know, and I've always enjoyed a drink. But what you have to do is you have to curtail it, because the two don't go hand in hand, you know. You can't be drinking 5-6 nights a week and training, you know. So so what I done was, definitely for the final 6 months up to grading, was I allowed myself just my drinks on a Saturday night. So I worked hard all week, I trained hard all week. Come Saturday night, come 6-7 o'clock in the evening, fill up the oven with pizzas and everything, and, you know, me, Cam, and the girls would just chill out, relax. I'd have a few drinks. So come Sunday, then I'd start focusing then on the week ahead, you know, and that's it. To me, I think that's important as well.
Oh, yeah.
To people, that you do allow yourself something, you know, to look forward to.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. You need that. You need that as that splurge once a week when you're training that hard and focusing that hard mentally. So all of a sudden, then you're at your assessment, the black belt day comes upon you, and you said something to the lads, you know, when you were going up there.
Yeah. So I think there was 2 of us were going for black belt. I could be wrong. 2 of us were going for 2 were going for brown belt. So yeah, look, I've been training up to, like I say, up to 5 hours a day, leading up to it. This was, you know, before work. I was doing my full day's work. I was training after work. So yeah, it was serious. I think there was a flu bug going around. I was doing everything possible, you know, to avoid, because it was the 13th of January. It was actually just after I passed my 50th birthday, because it had actually been put back because I think we had snow or something. So it was the 13th of January. And so I said to Tommy, the head coach, look, Tommy said, look, guys, there's other people from other clubs there. You know, it's a 6-hour grading. It's going to be tough. And I tell you, tough it is. But out of respect for people that do grade, I won't go into it too much, you know. But I said, look, Tommy, before we went into the club, I said, look, Tommy, I said, this is 8, 9, 10 years doing this. If I collapse in there, leave me, because I will get up, you know. That's how determined to achieve.
Yeah. You just knew at that point, if you see me on the floor, leave me alone, I will get back up. You were that determined to actually get to the end of that session.
Totally. And it was like, I mean, it was 6 hours. It was up in Lurgan. When I came back, you know, and it was with a great set of guys as well. And when I came back to the house, and just I'd envisioned it for years, you know, just to drive home and just, you know, I've done it, because the family and my wife and girls were the ones that, like I said, they supported me throughout, just to say, you know, I actually finished it, you know, I got there. So again, we had a fantastic night. The bathroom for me, I got in the bath, and that's when I seized up, you know. I think I was seized up for about a week after.
I think, but emotionally too, your body just kind of goes, oh, yeah, I did it. Yeah. And then actually starts to kind of release everything that you've been holding on to get you to that point. So you were going to go out on your own when you got your, you know, you'd achieved your goal, you got your black belt, and then you said, right, what am I going to do next?
Yeah, exactly. So what I kind of wanted to do throughout was I wanted to set up my own kickboxing club, you know, but I wouldn't do it until I reached my black belt. Now I know there is kickboxing clubs, and I know there's ones in England for definite that are teaching, that are, you know, they're not at that level, and I never agreed with that. I believe that if you're going to do something, you have to be at a good level to go and, you know, to take money off other people and to teach other people. So anyway, got my black belt, and I was going to try and run something in conjunction, chat to Tommy and say, hey, listen, why don't we open up another branch of Kickboxing LK? I'll run it or whatever, you know. But anyway, what happened was, so I got my black belt. We're in training one evening, and this fella came into the club. He was probably around late 40s, early 50s, you know. And Tommy brought him over to me and said, look, Jimmy, show him the ropes, keep him right. And that's what we done, you know. Got him gloves, got him gloved up, etc. And then he started to open up. So he was a fella from Glasgow, and he was kind of a confident kind of a fella, you know. And you knew that he'd been around. He had the noses over here, and he told me that he'd done a little bit of boxing previously years ago, and you do get the feel for it, because first couple of minutes you know you can see it in the stance and etc. etc. So and I said, you know, between what we're doing, we're having water breaks. I said, well, you know, what brought you to this tonight? And he said, believe it or not, he said, I actually read what you done, or I heard what you done, and I want to do the same, you know. So anyway, he's open up. And he said, you know, he said, I actually came here twice, and twice I looked through the door at Use All Training, and twice I walked back outside and I got physically sick. And I thought,
it had such an impact on him.
Yeah, such an impact, you know, to train and exercise with other people. But it was actually since that moment, I've noticed the same with other people as well, that it can be tough for people to exercise, don't matter what kind of exercise, or train in front of other people, you know, and it can hold people back, you know, that shouldn't hold people back, you know. So yeah, what happened then around that time, like I said, I was working for a fantastic medical insurance company, Optum. I'm sure they don't mind me saying the name.
No, I
so we moved to this fantastic. Yeah, you're good. So yeah, we moved to this fantastic campus in Letterkenny. It's a 1,000 employee campus, totally amazing. And I was approached and asked, look, there's a fitness suite inside the new campus. Would you be interested in kind of getting stuff up and running for employees? You know, so that's what I've done. Between meeting the fella from Glasgow and between asking if I'd run classes and stuff, I thought, you know what, let's go down the route of get me fitness instructor course and my personal trainer, you know, qualifications. Because I think with Optum, and the thing is, to do things right is to have the right things, have the qualifications, you know. So yeah, I went out, got my qualifications, got my you know, my insurance, all that kind of stuff, you know. But it's funny because again, it took me back, because now I'm doing a fitness instructor course with young people again, you know, and I'm 50 year old walking this environment, you know. But yeah, look, it's funny because there's a massive respect for anyone, I think, that's in this kind of training, you know. It don't matter what age you are.
You were also very lucky because you did have huge support coming through this from your wife and children.
Massive.
But I want, did anybody ever say to you, are you mad, Jimmy?
Yeah, plenty of times. And what happens is comments can work two ways. They can put somebody completely down, and they'll stay down, you know, and they'll think, well, you know, that person's right. Or you can flip it and use it to your advantage, you know. And I heard it, you know, why are you doing it? You know, it's a young man's game. Why do you put yourself through this? You know, cop yourself on. It's a, you know, heard that plenty of times. But to me, I don't know, age, should it make a difference? Should it make a difference to your health?
No, absolutely
your wellness,
not.
You know?
No,
exactly.
It doesn't make a difference. No, sitting on this side of the lens, I'm telling you, no.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is, after we done the grading, the day after we graded, and I'm stiffened up on the settee, and I'm going through social media, and I'm looking at comments from lads 20, 21, 22-year-old that had also been there the day before doing their grading, saying they'd never done, it was the toughest 6 hours of life. And I thought, well, if they're saying that at 20, 21-year-old, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, exactly.
yeah,
So do you
totally.
use then, so you have a lot of focus, you have a lot of self-determination,
Mm,
and obviously you have a
mm,
lot of drive. And you can
mm,
even pick yourself back up when things kind of
mm.
fall by the wayside. So do you
Yeah,
then find that you use that full skill set? Because obviously that wasn't just for the training and the kickboxing and that. Do you find yourself being like that then in work when if you have a task or a target to meet in work, that you're very much focused on, yes, this step, this step, this step, this step, and I'll get there?
yeah, yeah. I've probably got some of my work colleagues watching, so just watch the
Oh,
chats
all
now that
right.
start
Okay.
coming up
So
saying
to his colleagues out there
he's
who
a
are
lazy cunt.
laughing,
Don't be
having
listening to
their
him.
cup of tea
But
or whatever.
but it is no, it is, yeah. It is. Look, at the end of the day, look, like I say, I work for a fantastic company. I always believe, and this is what my father taught me, mother and father taught me, that you go in and you get paid for doing a good day's work, So yeah, when I'm in there, it is 100%. Now the guys listen to me and they're sure they give out about because it's, chatting about fitness or I'm watching what they're eating and it's funny because employees like I say, with a fantastic canteen, all pre-COVID. And they'll be walking and they'll be looking at me and they'll be walking and they'll be trying to avoid me, thinking that I'm judging them by what they're eating, look, it don't work like that. I'm not like that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I have to say,
what
sorry, Pat. Yeah, it is like when I
yeah,
was reading about it and your story, because I'm picturing, um, because I'm up in that, actually a bit older than you, so I'm up in that age group too, and I'm thinking back to
mm,
say when I was 40 or thereabouts, sitting on the couch watching something, or just sitting there thinking, right, oh, what'll I do? What'll I do now? And
yeah, totally.
it's from that point, and actually it's probably it's that moment, whatever it was that triggered it in you, I think is
Mm,
it's to be admired, because the amount of people, men in particular, I actually think women find it a lot easier maybe to start something, but for
mm,
I don't know if men, as they start hitting their 40s do. I think they find, unless they've already been part of sport or something like that, I think they find it a lot harder. And then they
yeah,
feel if they do start and maybe they've picked the wrong sport, how do they
yeah,
change over? Do you know what I mean? I think it has a bigger
totally.
impact on men.
Totally, yeah. And again, that goes back to, mental health and mental health awareness, scared of being judged,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, listen, it is, and I fully get that, and I understand that, and that's why I understand where men come from. It's like I say, I do quite a lot of fitness classes at the moment, and it's for every 10 people that take part, it'll be 9 women and 1 fella, and that's the way it has been for the last couple of years. And you can struggle to get men into that environment, and once they come in, they love it, because I think what happens is they probably listen, this could be just me saying, maybe they're scared they're going to be judged. Maybe they think they won't be up to their fitness regime, they're in
Or
front
they
of other
find
people.
maybe that, I think, are men slightly more competitive.
Well,
I
there's
don't
possibly that
know.
as well, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've seen yeah, I've seen women at the club and throughout kickboxing that are competitive as well, but yeah, yeah,
It's probably a whole other day's topic, actually, the difference in competition levels between the male versus the female. But Esther, I didn't turn on any comments in here. Hi, Sasha, how are you? Um,
hey
Sharon,
Sharon,
yes, oh, you're seeing the
yeah,
comments there, of course, that's
yeah,
true. That's the great thing about StreamYard here. There's
yeah,
Sarah, well,
cheers.
fellow kickboxer. Yes, no.
Mm.
um,
Oh,
Now,
an old
so
friend
there's
from
some,
Leeds, yeah. Mm.
yeah, some great comments now coming in for
Yeah,
you, which is
thank you much for
brilliant. And I know it is, as I'm looking now, yeah, because we're gone right on to 30 minutes here. Great role model for kickboxing, LK. Just goes to prove age is just a number, and I'm honored to call you my friend. Isn't that fantastic?
Thanks, Sharon.
That is true. Grading well and all the hard work. I can only imagine. I was saying to you as we were chatting on the phone the other day, before this, I remember my brothers back in the 70s and 80s doing karate and training for the karate, you know, and I remember what they went through, you know, and seeing the training that they did. But Mammy wasn't a chef, so they just had to eat what was put in front of them. So you had the bonus of having your nutrients, your proteins, and your carbs and everything well balanced for you. But Jimmy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And if anybody wants to get in touch, I think it's coming up there on the screen now. I said, do you play the violin?
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, cheers, David, for that. Years ago.
Sorry, Esther, is the ticker tape there for contact to get in touch with Jimmy? I'm sure Pex Factor on Facebook.com. I'm sure plenty of people will go onto your page. You know, they'll get lots of hints and tips. And I've no doubt, actually, that some of the, I hate using the word older because it means I'm referring to myself too, but some people in our age group that actually might just want some tips about getting started too, where they, you know, there is that fear about walking into a gym and seeing, you know, maybe finding out when the quiet time is and going in when it's, and building up that way might be a good start as well for them. You know, totally, so Jimmy, 100%. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Amazing story. And to all your pals out there that supported you today and coming on and watched in, thank you guys. Delighted to have you on board, and do keep up with us here. So we shall see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Cheerio, everybody.